lost all control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. I hope you're having a great day, great evening. You've had a great week, and now you're gearing up towards the weekend. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show, and just know that throughout these 2 hours that I am absolutely honored and thrilled to be here with you. Spending part of your weekend. I mean, that's quite an investment, folks, and it means a lot to me. Special thanks to Freaky Friday. Definitely Kev and Scotty were there, and to Popeye, hello to you, sir. And thank you, gentlemen, for prepping the path for me. It was a great journey and fun to listen to as I'm getting ready for the portal. And ready is kind of a tongue-in-cheek because I don't know if I'm ever ready for the show. I don't know if I am ever, but I'm doing my best. I think we're in good shape here tonight, but throughout the course of the night, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call in and be a part of the show, I'd love to hear from you. The number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is the number to call to get yourself connected to the portal. Otherwise, you've got a story or something paranormal that you'd like to share, but you'd rather not call in. It kind of freaks you out or makes you nervous or whatever. Understandable. You can also email us here at the show by emailing paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So lots of ways to get in touch. Those are your passports to the portal. And so I am here conducting the journey as well as I know how. And hopefully you got a great show lined up for you tonight. Hopefully. It's just me, but of course me and the paranormal. So there's all kinds of fun things to discuss and to deal with throughout the course of our journey tonight. But I'll see how we do. But I want to mention the podcast, of course. Everybody make sure if you like the Paranormal Portal and you like to hear more of it, and if you'd like to take it with you wherever you go without worrying about an internet connection, check out the podcast. The Paranormal Portal podcast is on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, and a whole bunch of other platforms. Just do a search wherever you get your podcasts from, and do a search for the Paranormal Portal, and you can check out our shows. We got like 124 of them now. I think 124 podcast episodes are up. So there's lots to listen to there. And the nice thing about podcasts is you can download them to your phone or your tablet or whatever, and you can listen to them wherever you are once they're downloaded. So they can be built in and ready to go without having to worry about an active Wi-Fi spot or something. So just another option, just another possibility. And hello to all of you in both the TFR chat. Hello, everybody. And all of you over on YouTube. Great to see you guys as well. The numbers keep piling in. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to share the evening with y'all. So let's see, anything else on the front end? I think I've got all the laundry done. So that's my figure of speech to to identify all the stuff that I like to mention on the front end of the show. I don't know. I'm probably forgetting something, but I usually do anyway. So this is just standard issue here on the portal. So I gotta close that. It's not gonna do it, is it? There it goes. Okay. Well, I got some stuff to go through with you guys tonight, and this is an article from liveabout.com, and the article is called 10 Creepy and Totally Unexplainable Paranormal Stories. It says, don't read these stories late at night, trust us. Well, we'll just take a risk with that and see how we do. The first one is voices in woman's head diagnose her brain tumor. Ooh. Well, I guess that's a good thing. If you're going to have voices in your head, that it means something, that it's it may be fixable, unless you like voices in your head, then it's up to you, of course. But it says in 1984, a woman was sitting at home reading when she suddenly heard a very clear voice inside her head, and the voice told her, "Please don't be afraid. I know it must be shocking for you to hear me speaking to you like this, but this is the easiest way I could think of. My friend and I used to work at the Children's Hospital, Great Ormond Street, and we would like to help you." Well, that's weird. All right. So then it goes on. After a series of medical tests, including psychological assessments, the patient was eventually diagnosed with a large benign meningioma brain tumor. The voice continued to speak to her throughout the medical testing. After she had surgery to remove the tumor, the patient heard from the voices one last time after regaining consciousness, when she heard them say, "We are pleased to have helped you. Goodbye." She reported no post-surgical problems and never heard the voice again. The study of a patient diagnosing her own brain tumor with the help of mysterious voices in her head was published in the British Medical Journal. So that's really interesting, because it's not just a hallucination. It's not just a hallucination, and I don't know exactly, what. It sounds like these voices came over a period of time, but, we got the, "Hey, we want to help you," and then, "Hey, we're glad we were able to help you" at the end. But that sounds like a consciousness. Like she really was able to tap into some kind of, I don't know, otherworldly voice, some ghostly voice or whatever. I don't know, but that is the strangest thing I think I've ever heard. But I think it's cool because it kind of validates the experience as more than just some neurological malfunction due to a tumor. That she was able to hear and process these voices, that the voices had some kind of credible information or warning to her. And then once it was over, that the voices basically let themselves out, like, "Hey, thanks, we're done." And that was it. Now, we oftentimes hear stories about guides and about guardian angels and so on and so forth in the term of the spirit world and what we understand to be the spirit world. But this is pretty interesting. So I guess it's safe to surmise from that context that the tumor gave her the ability to hear the voices, but these, I don't know if they can be just called voices. They're obviously intelligences. These intelligences were able to see that was there and step forward to help. And I think that's incredibly profound. That's truly amazing. So I think that's a pretty brilliant start. The next one says imaginary friend or visiting relative. And most of these are really short, so we'll be getting through this list in no time at all. But it says, my grandfather passed away just a few weeks after I was born. Never met the guy, never knew what he looked like. But when I was 5 years old, I started to see this man in our rocking chair. And I called him the rocking chair man, and my parents thought that it was that imaginary friend stage, but it started to bug them when I told them every single day. Well, they finally questioned me about it, and I told them every detail I could remember, and finally they showed me a picture of a man. It was my grandfather. To this day, and I'm 22 now, every time I dream, he is in the backyard somewhere, in the background somewhere, sorry. And I remember when I dreamed about my high school graduation and I looked in the stands and I saw him with my parents. And I like to think that he's just watching out for me and being there when he's not really there. Well, maybe he is really there, though. You never know. That's certainly a possibility, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely believe that they are those loved ones, those ancestors or whatever are always around us to some degree, stopping in, checking in, or whatever. And I know there's some cultures like Chinese culture is very big on the ancestors and the forebearers of a family line that they are revered, almost religiously. And it's not just them; it's many cultures as well. I mean, just watch the movie Mulan, of course, and the ancestors play a part in that movie. Now, that is not that's not a historically accurate depiction in all ways, but I think that it definitely demonstrates that in a lot of Asiatic cultures, the ancestors are a big part and become spiritual guides and protectors. And so, why wouldn't ours as well? I'm sure it's not a phenomena that's exclusive to Asian culture, so they just might recognize it, may have just recognized it where many of us didn't, or whatever have you. But this one is past life experience. Several years ago, when my daughter was just over 3 years old, my husband and I were watching a TV show about the incident of 9/11. It was on or around the anniversary of the event, and my daughter, who was coloring nearby, looked up when the screen showed a plane hitting one of the World Trade Center buildings, and she said to us, "I died there." And then she just went back to coloring like she hadn't said a word. We had never really talked to her about the concept of death and had never discussed 9/11 with her. And since then, she has not said anything else about it. But now, if something comes on TV about 9/11, she says, "I don't want to watch this." Well, yeah, I don't think most of us wanted to watch it either. It was really, really drilled into the consciousness of our country, and it was almost psychological warfare, the way they pounded those images into our heads just 24 hours a day, repeatedly, these planes flying into those buildings. And it was just, I think it was very, very irresponsible, or it was very calculated, one of the two. But it certainly, is a horrible thing. I still, even to this day, grimace every time I see those. And I've seen those images thousands of times. But it's just, I don't know. So I don't blame the little kid. But, again, perhaps she was in the building in a prior lifetime, if you believe in that. I don't know, The show's never going to be about telling you what to believe or not to believe, but if you believe in that concept, then why not? Why isn't, certainly some children alive today could have been from that event. This is, it says Skeletor. No, this is a reference to the He-Man cartoon, of course, Skeletor being the evil villain. But there was a ghost that was seen in the Hampton Court Palace, closed caption TV. And this is the narrative of it. It says the Hampton Court Palace, in Surrey, is thought to be the most haunted buildings in England. I guess it said one of the, but I cut that whole part out. According to their website, the castle is officially haunted by at least 3 specters. Catherine Howard, the screaming lady in the haunted gallery, has been spotted multiple times over the years by palace workers and guests alike. Sybil Penn, the Grey Lady of Hampton Court Palace, who has been spotted roaming the palace since her tomb was moved back in 1829. And the palace's most notable haunting, however, has to be Skeletor, the creepy apparition that was caught on the palace's CCTV in 2003. The palace officials explain on their website, on 3 consecutive days, palace security staff were called to close one particular fire door near the palace's introductory exhibition. On the first day, CCTV footage showed the doors fling wide open with great force, but there was nothing to reveal why. On the second day, the same thing happened, but this time, a ghostly-looking figure in period dress suddenly appeared on the screen and closed the doors. And they had the doors opened again on the third day, but there was no further sign of the ghostly doorkeeper. Is this the ghost of the palace's most famous resident, Henry VIII? You can check out the video for yourself and see what you think. And so just go look up the Hampton Court Palace and ghost, and you will find it. I've seen that video for a number of times. It's obviously quite old now, but it is a really good capture, I gotta say. Could it be faked? I guess, sure. It's not, the footage itself is not incredibly precise or crisp. It's, the old version closed circuit TV, but for security cameras. So it's not a high quality image, but it's clear enough that you can see there is what looks like period dress and possibly a skeletal looking figure inside of it. Possibly, I say, I don't know. There's not enough detail for me to make that out. It's just got a very pale face, and so pretty interesting. But could there be? Well, and that's the thing, especially in England and Europe and such. Their histories go so far back, and their buildings are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old, whereas ours are just a few hundred years old, and that's about it for most of the buildings here. But there's buildings over there that are, getting up towards 1,000 years old or so, I don't know for sure what the date of those, the oldest building in the UK or whatever, but it's quite a bit older than the oldest building in the US. So very cool though. This one says Dad's Doppelganger. Now Doppelganger is a pretty unique kind of phenomena in that, and it's, sometimes it's considered a foreboding of death. That if you see your doppelganger, it might be because you're going to die. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know that that's the case or not, but it's certainly one of the legendary assessments of it. Another is this, that spirits can take whatever form they want, and sometimes they take the form of the people that live in the house, and it might be just their way to traverse the space in a certain manifestation without alarming people. Because are you going to be alarmed if you saw somebody that you never seen before cross your living room, or your brother? Well, your brother's probably not going to alarm you too much. So maybe it's a strategy. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here as I'm going, but let's see what this one has to say. Let me look at the time quick. 10 minutes. We're doing good. And this one says, about 10 years ago, I was 8 and I was visiting my dad at his house. My stepmother was in the kitchen and I was in the family room, and we both saw my father wearing a red flannel shirt and blue jeans walk around the corner of the living room and start walking up the stairs. I followed him and called his name as he went up the stairs, and he turned back and looked right at me and got to the top of the stairs and went around the corner. I called his name again, and then from the living room, my dad popped his head up over the couch and asked, "What do you want?" He had been asleep on the couch the entire time, yet both my stepmom and I clearly saw him wearing the clothes he had on the whole day, and all go from the living room up the stairs. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen, and both my stepmom and I still remember it and talk about it to this day. Also, it was broad daylight, so it wasn't some uncanny illusion of the light, or the night, rather. That's creepy stuff right there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I suppose that, there's oftentimes people talk about trickster spirits and tricksters. So it could be just something like that too. But it would be kind of unnerving, I think. This one is a child's creepy premonition. When my oldest sister was little, like 3, she asked my then pregnant aunt to pick her up and hold her. And my mom said she was like, "She can't pick you up, honey. She has a baby in her tummy." And then my little sister was like, "That baby is dead." Well, my mom freaked out. And my aunt and grandma were fine and were telling my mom it was all good. She's just a toddler and didn't know what she was saying. Well, lo and behold, my aunt goes to the doctor the next day for a routine pregnancy checkup, and the baby was dead. It just gives me the willies just thinking about it. Wow. That's so sad. Oh, all right. The next one is has to do with the shadow person, and it says I was living in a house in Laguna Beach that had been there since the 1920s. In its history, it had been a speakeasy, a brothel, and a house for smuggling illegal immigrants. Well, one day my new wife and I were having an argument. This is my new wife. What is it? What happened to the old one? My new wife and I were having an argument, and I can't even recall what it was about. And she walked down the block to get a cup of coffee and cool off, and I was alone in the house. And from my bedroom, I could look across the hall and into the bathroom, and then through the bathroom and down the other hall, I was standing at my dresser, and I just noticed movement out of the corner of my eye and looked down there. There was, and honest to God, this gives me the goosebumps just typing it, 17 years later, a black figure. It was maybe 3 feet tall, and it was only vaguely humanoid. And it looked like black scribbles, like someone had scribbled a human shape. But the scribbles moved, like electricity arcing. And that's the best way to describe it. There was no sound that I could remember. And I distinctly remember when I saw it, I wasn't afraid, just like, what the hell? And then it noticed me looking at it, and I can't say it turned around. It just focused on me, I guess, and then I was scared. I didn't move, didn't scream, nothing. I was just frozen because it just came at me, rushed down the hall towards me. I have no idea what it intended, but as soon as it entered the bathroom, the door closest to me just slammed shut on it. And then I screamed and I yelled for my wife, and she wasn't home. I went outside in the daylight and didn't go back in until she got home about 10 minutes later. So that's kind of creepy. That's pretty wild. I don't know what that means. Some apparition that looked like black scribbles. It doesn't sound like the traditional shadow people. Could it be a manifestation of the anger or the arguing that had just been happening? Could it be related to that? I don't know, maybe. That's pretty weird. Let me take a look at the time once again. We got 5 minutes till the first break, ladies and gentlemen. It flies by pretty quick here on the portal, so you got to hang on to your seats as we go because it just goes. The time is gone, All right, mysterious whistler. A young man in Lansing, Michigan hears a strange two-tone whistle that seems to come out of nowhere. Oddly enough, this incident was repeated at random intervals throughout his life, and it always left him with a feeling of intense dread. I don't know what that was. Probably my Skype or whatever. But the last time he heard the sound, he managed to take a video of the whistler, though he still is no closer to figuring out who or what seems to be watching and following him wherever he goes. We saw a figure steering a canoe about 20 meters offshore. Sarah decided to go get more beers from the car, leaving me alone to stare at this mysterious person. And then, of course, they whistled at me. My entire body was frozen and covered in goosebumps, and it was the exact same whistle from my childhood, more than a decade earlier. And I looked at the figure, but it was much too dark to discern who they could be. They were wearing a hat. When they were perpendicular to the shore from me, they stopped paddling, turned the canoe to face directly at me, and whistled right at me. I was so frightened, I stood up and shouted at them, "Who are you?" Sorry, got some weird audio anomalies hitting, but we'll just keep going. I said, "Who are you?" And they didn't say anything, just whistled a couple more times, turned the canoe 180 degrees, and paddled out of sight. Wow. That's really creepy. I don't know. What do you do with something like that? That's a strange story. Wonder what that means. Is that, I don't know. They have a link for a more in-depth story. I think I'll pull that open because I'm kind of curious what the details are of that. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah, it's quite a long story, so I think we'll get into that on the other side of the break. The more robust version of that story, because that sounds really really wild, and I want to understand more about the phenomena they were experiencing, because that's wrong. That is just weird. But yeah, I don't know what to make of things like that. I mean, could there be a spirit that follows us through our lives? Could it be a guide? Could it be a benevolent thing? Could it be a guardian angel, perhaps? I mean, who knows? A lot of us, when it comes to angels, a lot of us think that they have wings and halos and robes and sometimes harps, little harps, and they like to stroke and play. But I don't know. I don't think angels probably look anything like that. They may, I guess, if they choose to, but I think they can look like whatever they choose to look like. And I'm not sure what the whistling would mean in this case, though. That's just really odd. Like something that would be more like intimidating, I would think. I don't think that there's probably much good coming from that. Whatever it is, I mean, it's certainly not doing any harm. It just keeps letting the person know that they're there, that it's there from time to time. But the fact that they saw it in a canoe, I mean, could just be another person whistling. It seems kind of bizarre that they wouldn't answer when they say, "Who are you?" But then again, they may not be social. They just like to whistle. I don't know. I'm just going out on limbs here trying to make sense of it. But if you're listening to the Paranormal Portal right now on iHearts, TuneIn, TalkStream, or on TFR Live, of course, then stick around, because after the portal's over, after our second hour, then Paisley Wild will be up, and her show, The Spaces Between, will be coming up after us. And she's got a great show, and she's a dear friend of mine personally as well as professionally. And she does a great job. And the story is kind of her journey into, just her life and her path. And it's just full of great information of esoteric ideas and practices. And so you might want to check it out. It's worth a listen at the very least, but I know you're going to love it because she does such a good job. So check out The Spaces Between following the Paranormal Portal tonight right here on TFR Live. If you're listening on YouTube, you can go over to youtube.com, The Spaces Between, and check out her channel there. But there's the bell, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go to break. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
No fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Half hour number 2 is already upon us, and that's how the time rolls here in the portal. Always quickly, really, really quickly, and that's okay. That's wonderful. But they say time flies when you're having fun, so I must be having fun. I think I am. No, I know I am. You guys are great, and thank you to everybody who is tuning in and is hanging out with us here tonight. I appreciate that bunches. I think I'm going to work through the rest of this list. There's not a whole lot left to it. There's just two more things here to cover, and then I want to go back and cover the longer version of that story of the whistling thing. That to me is very curious, and I want to understand it better. So we're going to check it out together because I'm driving this ship, and that's just my job. All right, so the next one is Wilson Hall at Ohio University. And in parentheses, it says West Green. It says room 428 at Wilson Hall is permanently closed. Students at Ohio University, the 9th oldest public university in the U.S., are not allowed to so much as enter the dorm room due to the numerous reports of hauntings and dangerous ghostly activity in the room. Wilson Hall was reportedly built on an Indian burial ground because that always ends well. That's what it says in parentheses. Spiritualists claim that the building is located at the center of a pentagram formed by 5 such ancient cemeteries, ending this geographical position, extra powers of either safety or evil. In the 1970s, a male student died under mysterious circumstances in room 428. Years later, a female student used what she perceived as the room's energy to practice rituals such as astral projection, during which the human spirit is said to leave the body and travel about at will. Not long after moving in, this student died as well, reportedly from cutting her own wrists. Ever since these 2 student deaths, anyone who lived in the room reported terribly scary occurrences at all hours of the day and night. Objects flew across the room and smashed against the walls. Students heard voices, whispering, and even shouting, even though no one was there. The door would often open and then slam shut of its own accord. Stranger still, demonic faces kept appearing in the wood grain of the room's door. Although the school replaced the door many times, the tortured, ghoulish faces reappeared every time. Finally, the room became too frightening, and the university feared another student death could result, so they decided to seal the door shut forever. This is the only known case where a dormitory room has been sealed off in the U.S. to date. Well, that sounds terrible. Oh my God. Now, I don't know about the whole faces in the wood grain. Is the report that the wood grain actually changed to form faces? If that's what they're saying, or is it just people, seeing the matrixing effect of a wood grain, like, oh, there's a face right there, I see it. And of course, everybody sees those in wood grains. It's just our mind doing what it does, trying to find faces in patterns of chaos. But I'm not trying to degrade the reports of what people say they experience, but that isn't uncommon to see, faces and what appears to be otherworldly things in wood grain. but whatever. This one's called A Glitch in the Matrix. When I was around 20 a few years ago, I kept having dreams about a woman with long black hair named Aurora. Pronounced Aurora. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. They put A-roar-UH. They were different dreams, but for some reason, her distinct face and name always ended up in them. It got to the point where I would wake up frustrated and confused trying to Google her name to find out how I was connected to her. And after a few months, she stopped showing up and I dismissed it, thinking my brain was just being a scumbag. That's nice self-love right there. Think happy thoughts. I suck. Fast forward a few years later, Halloween 2009, I'm in the car with a friend, stopped at a gas station. I'm about to pull out and merge onto a highway when I get a phone call from a random number, so I stopped the car, but no one answered. There was a person behind me who grew impatient, honked at me, and then swerved in front of me instead of waiting for 2 seconds for me to move. The second they get on the highway, a silver Civic loses control of their wheel and crashes into the car that swerved in. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, Jesus. I don't know why my Skype is now giving me sounds of announcements, but I don't like that at all. That was right in my head. You got headphones on and Skype's doing that right in my ear. Hold on, I got to turn that off before more come. Nobody else answer, please. I'm in a group chat for the network, and I guess that was a good time to send an announcement. Let me see here. It's not anybody's fault. It's my own, but chat notifications. Hell no. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I just got to do this because I'm going to turn all this stuff off because I don't need any of it. Okay. Hopefully that'll do it. Show call notifications. I think that's fine. Okay. I think I got it now, but so no further messages should be chirping in our ears, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I lost my place now, but there was a person. Okay, so that person came out, a silver Civic, loses control and crashes into that person. I called the cops and waited at the gas station for them to come. Turns out the driver of both cars died. It 100% would have been me if I hadn't got that phone call. I called it back a few hours later out of gratitude and curiosity. It rang 3 times and went to a voicemail. Hi, you've reached Aurora. Please leave your name and number. And never had goosebumps like that in my entire life. I called it the next day again because I was that confused about the whole situation. Some woman answers and we get to talking. I tell her my entire story, including the dreams, and she tells me she doesn't know how I got her number and that she never called me as far as she remembers. Weird, and I ask her if she has a Facebook to confirm if she is in fact the woman in my dreams, and I check out her Facebook, and it's her. Wow, that's pretty wild. Gotta admit, that's an intense story. Is it for sure real? No, I don't know that, but if it's creative writing, it's a hell of a good job. But could it be true? Yeah, it could be. All right, I want to go back and get the longer version of that Whistler story because I think that's pretty interesting. I don't really understand from the short context of that last story what this narrative is. Okay, all right, let's see. It's kind of a long story, so bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll get through it as long as I can read. But when I was about 8 years old, I was taking my dog for a walk through our neighborhood with my mom. It was maybe 11 p.m. We live next to a swamp and woods area on the edge of our neighborhood in Lansing, Michigan. I remember it being very silent and slightly windy, and from down in the swamp, we heard somebody whistling at us. It sounded sort of like a bird, but each whistle was different enough where the lack of consistency made it human-like. The whistle sounded higher, then lower. I can't really describe it. My mom had a concerned and slightly terrified look on her face and then grabbed my hand and said that we should go inside quickly. Well, I didn't understand because I was just too young, but seeing my mom freak out made me freak out too, and after a while, though, I kind of forgot about it. 2 years later, I was taking my dog out again late at night, and there was a large bush that could easily obscure a person behind it just next to the front door. And as I was finishing the walk, the whistling noise started again, same pitches, same inconsistent and human-like tones. As soon as I heard it, a chill went down my spine, as I remembered exactly the feeling of seeing my mom terrified, looking down into the swamp at something I couldn't see, and maybe she couldn't either. Well, I ran inside as fast as possible, and years went by, and I thought about it less and less, and I told only a handful of people, and eventually it just slipped my mind. Fast forward to last summer, and I'm 24, started dating my girl Sarah. We moved out to South Dakota for work. For Independence Day, we decided to go to Pierre, South Dakota, and watch the fireworks along the bank of the Missouri River. And there was a free camping spot behind a hospital where you could pitch your tent and hang out and see the fireworks up the river. And we were near the end of the campgrounds, and there were very few people around us. And as it was getting dark, the fireworks began, and they were pretty far away, so the illumination they brought was very little. Thus, we had to sit right at the edge of the river to be able to see them. A huge thunderhead was moving in, and the storm was imminent, so the air just seemed electric, and the wind was picking up, and the atmosphere was eerie, to say the least. The police boats herded all the other boats off of the river and had left our area to do that elsewhere. And most of the other campers walked up the river to have a better view of the fireworks, but Sarah and I stayed back and were drinking PBR tall boys and kicking it. Suddenly, we heard the sound of a paddle methodically dipping into the water, and we saw a figure steering a canoe about 20 meters offshore. Sarah decided to get more beers from the car, leaving me alone to stare at this mystery person. And then, of course, they whistled at me. My entire body was frozen and covered in goosebumps. It was the exact same whistler from my childhood, more than a decade earlier. I looked at the figure, but it was much too dark to discern who it could be. And they were even wearing a hat, and when they were perpendicular to the shore from me, they stopped paddling, turned the canoe to face directly at me, and whistled right at me. I was so frightened I stood and shouted at them, "Who are you?" But they didn't say anything. Just whistled a couple more times, turned the canoe 180 degrees, and paddled out of sight. I'm a videographer, so I already had a camera by my side and was taking video of the fireworks, and as the canoe was almost out of sight, I grabbed my camera and got a shot of them whistling as they went away. When Sarah came back from getting beers, she was very confused as to why I was so freaked out. When I explained, she was freaked out a bit too. I was convinced we would both be murdered that night. How did this whistling person follow me after 14 years all the way to South Dakota? Was it a coincidence? Why was it the same whistling noise? Who was that person and where did they go? So many questions still unanswered, and to this day, I'm more afraid of being outside in the dark where I might hear that whistling again. I'm very open to explanations. If there's an interest, I will find a plug and edit a little video of the fireworks and the whistling noise and the canoe disappearing. I'm in Uganda currently, and the internet is spotty here where I am, so I'll do my best. That's wild. It says the video is coming. I promise. Where I'm at in Uganda, the power goes out sometimes. So if you don't hear from me, the whistler finally got me. Finally spent all afternoon uploading the video. Here's the link. I don't know if I can, well, let me look at this link. I'm almost hesitant because it'll probably be a virus or something. I'm going to open it in an incognito window because I don't know what the hell I'm opening here. Well, that's rather loud. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. I just want to hear if we can get some of that whistling on here. And I'm going to continue talking so I don't get a copyright strike. I don't think I can put it on screen because I just don't have any permission for this. But let me just see if we can hear the whistling at all. It's still really loud. There, turn it down. So there's the shore. There's the fireworks in the distance. Now you can hear whistling. But I don't know where the canoe person is. I don't see that at all. Yeah. I don't know, but that's curious. Very curious. I don't know what the hell that means. That's really strange. Why would there be this person, this being that would follow somebody through their whole life? Again, I guess I don't understand much more than I did when I had the other story. I thought maybe the longer story would have a little more information. I don't know. But I can't say for sure. All I can say is that it's another day in the paranormal. That's all that is, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so how are we doing here? Welcome everybody that's watching. Thank you so much for being here with me on this journey. And again, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and be a part of the show. It's 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. No, Lucky, no worries at all. I mean, there's no way you could have known. And I didn't even know. I had that turned off, but I guess when the Skype updated recently, it reset everything, which is another one of those brilliant Microsoft moves where, why not just start everything from scratch? Why worry about people's settings? So don't apologize. It's certainly not your fault. You're just doing your thing, which is awesome. And you do an awesome thing, Lucky, just for the record. You're an awesome lady. An amazing person and a longtime friend of the show. So how could I ever be mad? But yeah, I don't know. It's just Skype doing Microsoft's bidding. Let's see. Okay, we got about 11 minutes. This is another one. I want to get through this other one that I had open because there was a couple stories left that I wanted to hit. And this is, I think this is from Wednesday's show. We were going to do on Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen, we were going to do a show on UFOs. And I was all set to do that. And I had this page open that had links to several other stories about UFOs and things to cover. And I started out the show with Don talking about UFOs. I clicked the link. Well, the link was broken, but it brought me to a page that had a lot of angel stories. And I thought, wow, this is bizarre. But Don and I both had the same idea about this. It's like, well, there must be a reason that I ended up here instead of on a UFO page. So we read a bunch of angel stories, and there's still some of these left. And we had an amazing night of participation and call-ins for those stories. But I have a few left on this page, so I think it's always a good thing to talk about angels and the positive side of the paranormal, because everybody's doing the dark side to death. So it's kind of nice to focus on the brighter side every once in a while. So this one is called Bus Stop Angel. And again, this comes from a site called learnreligions.com. So Bus Stop Angel, and it says, I had a difficult 2 years of losses, sadness, and major changes. I was recently diagnosed with depression. I had some very strange experiences and some moments of pure bliss. One day I was sitting at the bus stop and something that I couldn't see sat next to me. Something so beautiful that I felt pleasure and tingling all along that side. A very spiritual friend said that it was evil, but I didn't feel it as evil. I think it was an angel that wanted to guide me. It has done just that through a chance encounter with a friend of a friend who has set me on the right path to healing all of my hurt and resolving my depression and more. This friend of a friend is like an angel here on earth for me. That's really cool. So they had what they believe is an actual encounter with a spiritual being that they're interpreting as an angel, which could be. I'm not saying it's not, but they didn't see anything. They just felt a presence sit next to them and a warm, tingly feeling. And then it seems to have set up some great synchronicity so that they made contact with somebody who was able to help them with their struggles. So that's awesome. This one says, Angel helps me save my son's life. Wow. My son called me because he wanted to die. But after trying to convince him that I should fly there to help with the children, he hung up. My 7-year-old grandson called me crying and said, please, Grandma, come. I called the airlines and had to be at the airport for the last 9 p.m. commuter plane, and the terminal was under construction, so I was left at a shuttle site in the parking lot in the pouring rain, and it was 8:45 p.m. I'd never used this airport, so I was terrified and began crying. A woman appeared from the black of night and said, why are you crying? And I replied, I don't know where to board my plane. And she asked me my flight information and then said, don't worry, I'll get you there. And then a shuttle showed up. Well, she got me to the terminal, and I was the last to board. And I stayed up all night with my son, and then I called a suicide line at 4 a.m., convincing him to talk with a psychiatrist. A friend came by and went to talk with him, and then came out with a loaded gun and sleeping pills that he had talked him into giving up. An angel saved him. So a lot of people could listen to that story and go, well, it's just somebody that worked there that saw the woman crying and they wanted to help. But, I mean, isn't that angelic? At that perfect time that they would show up and she was still made her plane. A lot of times we expect things. We expect things from the divine. We have expectations, and those expectations are probably our Hollywood version of things. And oftentimes, and I said this on the Wednesday show, oftentimes angel is a term that can mean many, many, many different things. I think that I've had people who have been my angel in life. They were there at the right time and were able to help me through a lot of troubles that I wouldn't have, had been able to probably get through on my own. These people can be angelic. A dog. I had a dog. It was a beautiful German Shepherd. Her name was Zena, and she was like an angel. It's hard to explain, but just her presence and the things that she did. And I mean, maybe all of our dogs are angels. I don't know, but mine was. And I believe I actually had a meeting at one point in my life with a person that disappeared and, just boom, like that, he was gone. And it was a really cool experience. And I've shared it on a show long ago. If you go back in our YouTube archives, you'll find a show that's like Walking in My Footsteps. And if you can find that episode, it's me talking about my different experiences. And I talk about this strange meeting with this old gentleman and how it all played out and how it ended just abruptly. And it was just a fantastic experience. And I believe that was an angel. And, I think angels can mean many things. And sometimes maybe the spirit of the divine comes through us and makes us angels. And we act in ways that we wouldn't normally act, but we did something that needed doing. So, but I think that could be an angelic for sure, that person appeared out of nowhere to help this grieving woman to get to her plane and to be there for her son who probably wouldn't have made it the night. And there would have been a small child bearing his or her parent. And what a horrible thing. So yeah, and again, my caveat, if you're hurting out there, find someone to talk to, use a suicide hotline, make every effort to continue to persevere, because our problems seem insurmountable, but we do get through them. And then when we do, we understand why we had to go through them in the first place. But when you're in the middle of them, it's confusing, sad, and scary. It's horrible. But you will make it if you keep just doing the moment you're in, and then the next moment, and then the next moment. So, but don't just definitely get help. There's always some way to get help. Don't give up. All right. This one's Guardian Angel Encounters. Let me look. I got 3 minutes. Can I do it? Let me see how long it is. Yeah, I can do this. At 18, I was in a car wreck, and out of nowhere, a lady in white clothes, like a nurse, appeared, and she held a towel to my head, stopping my severe bleeding. As the fire trucks were coming, she said, "You'll be fine now." I looked away, and she was gone. I asked the fireman where was the lady, and he said, "What lady?" And I pointed to where she had come from, and he said she could not have come from that area. That was a 500-foot cliff to the Pacific Ocean. She had said to me, "I heard the accident and was at the beach and came to help you." And all my friends saw her 30 years later. A blonde lady walked over to me and said, "You're going to be okay and everything will be fine." And she walked away, and I turned around and realized it's her again, my guardian angel. Wow. That's amazing. Wow. That's incredible. Very incredible story. So this is a person having 30 years apart, 2 encounters with the same woman. And sounds like she didn't age much, at least from the little narrative we got. That's pretty incredible. There's another short one. My mom passed away in June 2011, about a month after her death. I was crying a lot one night, and I felt a touch on my arm coming from directly above me. I realized it was my mom and felt so comforted. It was the same exact touch I wanted to give her to say goodbye in the coffin, but I couldn't. Well, that's beautiful. Let's see. I got to keep an eye on the time. Yeah, we got enough for a couple more of these. I had an experience where I felt something touching my head in a strange but soft manner. I knew I received a blessing because I was coming from church that day. And from time to time, I also see this little orb. And for some reason, I just have a feeling it's my angel. And wherever I see it, I smile and say, Amen. And this is angelic visitation. It was May 2011. I was not feeling well, and everything seemed to be falling apart. I would spend a lot of time on Facebook and the internet, and I felt I was challenged by evil spirits, and I was feeling like I was dead most of the time. I would see my spirit get out of my body and wondered if my dad would come in a spirit form to bring my soul back to my body. One night I was coming from my workplace at midnight in a risky place, and I prayed that night. I saw a light above, and I collapsed, and then my hands were lifted up by that light. Then the light danced with me, and ever since then, I am always happy. That's a beautiful story. Angels among us, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to go to our hour break, so stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the Paranormal Portal, so don't go away. Hour number 2 is coming.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid toy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed. talking, yeah. I'm not talking, yeah. I'm not talking, yeah.
They're from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 is upon us here on the Paranormal Portal. Hope you're enjoying the journey. I know I am. But I always do. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2. More of the paranormal goodness in every bite. We got a call. That's kind of nice. Good to get a call. Just came in right now. I was just looking at the call board and ding, it came in. So let's get to this call. Sounds like a waterfall now here on the portal. But just consider it mood music or those ambient tones. They got those tone generators you can buy. It's like waterfall. Just trying to be positive here, but let's get to the call. This is area code 509. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up? It's Bob Ross.
Hey, Bob. How
Or
you been?
Nick from Spokane.
Hey, it's great to hear from you, brother. What's going on?
Yeah, long time no talk.
Yeah, where you been?
So, we're talking about angels, right?
Yeah, we're talking about everything, but
And-
angels, certainly.
Yeah, I know it's a pretty wide topic show. Almost every show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When I was listening to the stories about angels, I thought, oh my gosh, okay, I've got a story, and it has a little bit of me and my limited vocabulary, a little pretext or
Okay. A little setup.
whatever word I'm looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I was younger, early teens, I don't know how deep I should go into it. I was able to buy alcohol from a store nearby my house, and I was snooping through my mom's stuff looking for some beer change, and I came across a picture. Of what appeared to be me and my mom at a high school dance. And I'm thinking, I've never been to a dance with my mom, but that's me in the picture at this dance with my mom. And as I was looking at the picture more closely, I was looking at it going, I've never had a handlebar mustache.
Right.
I've never had hair down past my shoulders. And I ended up figuring out, well, I'm looking at a picture of my real dad.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
I couldn't tell anybody this. I couldn't question my parents about it, or else I'd pretty much be telling on myself that I was snooping through your stuff, looking for beer change.
Uh-huh.
Well, So I never told anybody for a long time. Fast forward like 20 something years, and I'm in the Navy. I'm working the swing shift, so I'm working from 11 p.m. until 7 in the morning.
Okay.
And I get off of work, and I'm sitting outside of our barracks drinking beers, and I'm on my laptop. I think back then I was like on MySpace, you know,
Oh, sure.
something, and 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 I'm out there by myself, just hanging out, waiting for maybe another friend from a different squadron to show up and hang out and drink. And this girl comes walking out of our barracks, and there was 3 different squadrons to each barracks. So there was people that you didn't see very often. There was people that that were brand new to you. And this girl comes walking out, and she comes up to the table I was sitting at, and she goes, "Do you have a lighter?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I passed the lighter across the table, and we're sitting out there smoking a cigarette and talking, and we started asking each other questions about why we joined the military and what our families were like, and I ended up telling her the story about how I found a picture of my real dad, and that I'd never met him before, and she goes, "Well, why don't you try to get a hold of him?" And my point of view was, well, I don't know, I'm like 25 now. I think if he wanted to talk to me, he would have tried to get a hold of me somehow. And she goes, "Well, maybe he's scared. Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's scared to talk to you. Maybe." And I said, I don't know, maybe." And she goes, "Do you know how to get a hold of him?" And I said, "Yeah. My mom has his number, and she said that if I ever want to talk to him, just to let her know." Wow. And she goes, "Well, you should call your mom and call your dad." And I thought, well, I don't know. I just don't know if I'm ready yet. And she goes, "Look, if for whatever reason you call him and you don't want to talk to him anymore, you just hang up the phone, and you don't ever have to talk to him again."
Right. Yep.
And I said, well, I was making up all kinds of excuses, and then finally my last excuse was, well, I'm out of minutes on my cell phone. I can't call my mom. And really the whole time I was just nervous. I didn't want to call it. I'm just hanging out. I'm just hanging out after work. I don't want to just all of a sudden make a life decision to call my real dad and talk to him for the first time.
Sure. Yeah.
And she goes, "Just call him. What's the worst that could happen? You don't want to talk to him, you hang up." So I finally said, "Okay." So she passes her cell phone over to me, and I call up my mom, and my mom says, "Hey, Nick, how have you been?" I'm doing good. "Hey, I was just wondering if you had Dad's number." and she's thinking that I'm talking about my first stepdad's number.
Sure.
And she goes, "What did you do? What you lose his number?" And I said, "No, Mom, Dad's number. I've never had it before." And she goes, "Oh, okay. Hold on a second." And she goes and finds the number, and she gives it to me. And we talk for a minute, and she says, "Okay, well, let me know how things go." And I end up calling my real dad. Well, he picks up the phone, and he thinks that I'm somebody calling for his son, whose name is also Nick.
Oh.
And my real dad's name is also Nick.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad answers the phone, and he says, "Oh, hold on a second." And I can hear him in the background go, "Nick, the phone's for you." And then my younger half-brother, Nick, picks up the phone and says, "Hello?" "Hey, I think I'm looking for an older Nick." And he goes, "Oh, you're calling for my dad. Hold on a second." Then I hear him say, "Dad, the phone's for you." And so my dad picks up the phone, and I kind of introduce myself. Hey, this is your son Nick, Teresa's son. And I could hear this long silence, and I can imagine him looking across the room at his son.
Yeah.
And just being confused for a minute. And finally he gets it, and he's like, oh, hey. Well, we talked for probably 35 or 45 minutes. We laughed about stuff, and we cried about stuff.
Oh,
and this whole time, the girl whose cell phone I'm on is sitting across the table from me, just smoking cigarettes and smiling and listening. and we ended up making plans to meet up once I got out of the Navy. And anyway, so I'm done with the conversation. I hang up the phone. I tell the girl, thanks so much for letting me use her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no problem. That was really nice to see. And the girl ends up walking away. I stay outside, and I'm hanging out with a couple of friends for the rest of the afternoon until I have to go to sleep. And I started to ask people, hey, have you guys ever seen this girl?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking people from my squadron, from the other squadron that lives in our barracks, and people from the other squadron that lives in our barracks, and nobody had ever seen this girl before. And I said, I don't know, maybe she's new.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
No, nobody had ever seen this girl before. And so I had thought to myself, like, what? No way. How could I? No way. Do angels have cell phones? Like,
sure.
I was talking on an angel's cell phone, or it was just some complete random occurrence that somehow she,
Wow, that is so
There's
intense.
probably a lot of different ways that she could have just shown up at just the right time and asked me for a lighter, and we got to talking, and she let me use her phone to call and talk to my dad for the first time.
So you never ever saw her
Nobody
again?
had ever seen.
Never saw her again.
Go ahead. No, never saw her again. No, I tried my best to describe her to people.
Uh-huh.
Nobody recognized her. Nobody said, oh, yeah, I know her. Yeah, she's new to our squadron.
Oh,
No,
wow.
nobody had any idea who that girl was.
I believe you, brother. I believe that it sounds legit to me.
It was it was really crazy. Every time I think about it, I start to get goosebumps and start pondering life, and like, wow, things are weird sometimes,
Did you stay in touch then with your real dad, or how did that work after that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I went and visited him.
Oh.
He introduced me to my half sister and my other half sister and my half brother. It's a long story. I have a half sister from another mother.
Okay.
And another half sister from another mother, and my half brother is from another mother.
Wow.
But it was great. I got to meet everybody and hang out with them, and we talk on the phone occasionally. So
that's so powerful. Good for you,
Yeah.
brother. That's like putting a big brick
Yeah.
down. It's like you were carrying a brick for a lot of years, and you got to put it down, and now it's a happy thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. For a lot of years, I sat there and just kind of in the back of my mind, wondered, well, I wonder what my dad's like. I wonder, what he does.
Yeah.
Who is he?
That's so.
And then just out of the blue, on a day when I'm not even expecting it,
That's amazing.
So.
Very cool, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I'm glad that you're out there listening. I mean, if you can't call in all the time, I understand, but it's good to hear you're still out there paying attention.
Yeah, for sure. I don't usually catch you guys' live streams.
Oh, sure.
I'm the type of person I fall asleep pretty early.
Oh, gotcha.
So
yeah, no worries, man. It's just,
I'll check on YouTube and be like, oh dang it, I missed a show. Oh dang it.
Every night at 7 p.m. on YouTube.
But
every night at 7 p.m.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm only 39, but I go to bed like an 80-year-old.
Well, that's how you stay so youthful, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's all the beauty sleep.
That's
all the beauty
right.
sleep I'm getting. So.
Well, it's good to hear from you, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
all right, stay in touch.
For sure, for sure. I'll call you guys. Oh yes, I remember I called up a few times before talking about dreams that I've had, and I've had dreams since the last time I've called. Lots of really crazy dreams. So maybe next time I'm listening to your guys' show and there has to be something about dreams. Well, yeah, I'll call up and tell you about some dreams.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's okay if you want to talk now. Go ahead. I'm just going through a lot of things anyway, so if you want to talk about dreams, I'd love to hear it if you got the time.
Oh wow, I've got the time. It's Friday night.
All right, brother.
I just don't want to. Okay. I don't want to be. I don't want to be.
No.
Just chatting away, and people are going, "Come on, Brent, get back to the ghost stories."
Lay it on us.
Oh, let's see. So, I've always thought that somehow dreams, they have something to do with our day-to-day life.
Okay.
But I mean, I kind of think that they have something to do with afterlife or people on the other side trying to send you a message of some kind,
Sure.
I remember earlier in the show you had mentioned something about UFOs.
Yes.
And maybe 2 weeks ago I had I don't know if I lucid dream. I'm not exactly sure. I've heard the term lucid dream and I've heard people talk about it, but I don't know if that means your dreams are pretty much the same as real life. You can make your own decisions in your dreams. Am I on the right track?
Yep, pretty much. That's about exactly what they are, I think.
Okay. Because when I dream, it's exactly like being alive and awake, except I'm obviously sleeping in my bed and I'm just dreaming. But in my dreams, it's just as real life. I can smell things, I can taste things, I have conversations with people. Except it's always like to the extreme. There's always things that happen in my dream that they can't possibly happen here in this life, our waking life. And it was probably like 2 weeks ago. I can't remember how the dream started and how it ended, but the most noticeable parts of the dream was I can remember wading through like a chest-deep river or a stream. I guess you call it a stream. And the stream, I don't know how else to describe it. It was like the water was filled with staples.
Oh, okay.
It was literally filled with staples. And so as the water rushed past me, I could feel little like pinpricks on my skin. And I remember thinking, this is so weird. And I can remember seeing somebody down the stream also in the water, and they were kind of like, going, ow, ow, ah, ow. and I remember thinking, I got to get out of this. I got to get out of this little river. And I kind of made my way across the stream, and I can see visually right in front of me, the edge of the stream was sort of like if you can picture a bunch of rocks that have lots of like salt deposits, like crystalline deposits on it.
Sure.
And in all of those crystals were a bunch of little staples. And I'm looking at this bank of the river that's taller than my head, and I'm thinking, how am I supposed to climb out of this river when all these little staples are poking out of all this like salty crystal stuff? I mean, this isn't going to be cool. This is going to suck. And it's like maybe, you kind of fast forward 10 seconds into the dream, and I'm out of the river, and I'm on the ground, and then fast forward another 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and now I'm standing on what I could only describe as like if a spaceship had a back porch or a patio or something.
Okay.
And I can remember there's 2 or 3 people with me. We're standing on this little patio area. It's like kind of like on the bottom side of the spaceship or the UFO, whatever. And it's going over the top of a city really slow. And it's like if you threw a rock off the edge, it would fall for like 2 or 3 seconds and then hit the roof of a house. So we weren't very high up above the houses and buildings.
Okay.
And I don't remember what I was talking about with those people, but all of a sudden the situation got really intense, and it has to do with aliens, but it wasn't aliens like little green aliens or grays or something. It was the actual aliens from the movie Alien, the black creepy things that run around real fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And and I remember trying to run into the spaceship, except for I couldn't figure out which way to go. It was like a bunch of hallways were all facing me, and it was like pick a hallway and run down it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember a couple of times that alien running towards me down the hallway, and I would jump in the air and kind of push myself over it, and it would go down between my legs and run down the hallway behind me. And it was really intense. That happened a couple of times, and just that was the end of that part of the dream.
Huh.
And then it was maybe only a day or two later, I was listening to a podcast, and there was a lady on the show who was talking about dreams and dream interpretation and the meanings of dreams.
Uh-huh.
And she had mentioned something about how things in our dreams are sort of reflections of our own self or our own personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of trying. I sat there for probably 35 or 45 minutes, just sitting there, kind of thinking to myself, what did the staples in the water mean?
Right.
What did the alien mean? What, it's so weird. And so I think I might have been like 15 or 16 or 17 when I used to have really vivid dreams. I would wake up from them, and then I would just write them down as best as I could in a journal.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I probably have, 75 or 100 dreams, like written down on scrap pieces of paper, whatever paper I could find in my room that was available at the moment to write something down on. And I think I remember something about, I don't remember where I heard it from. It had something to do about if you have a dream, wake up and write it down. And it was kind of a process to learning how to lucid dream.
Okay.
And back then when I was younger, I didn't know what lucid dreaming was. I just woke up, was like, wow, that was such a crazy dream. It was so real. I got to write this down and tell my friends about it. And so I started this dream journal. And now I don't have to jump out of bed and find a pencil and paper hoping that I'm going to be able to remember the dream. I can wake up after a dream and remember the dream just as clear as day and tell friends about it at work the next day or a couple days later, and I can look back on all the crazy dreams I've had and remember a good portion of them just like I had the dream last night.
Wow.
So I don't know if other people out there, I'm sure, have that kind of same thing where they have dreams, they can remember them really easy, but yeah, dreams they just blow my mind, and I don't understand what they mean. Yeah, even though like I've looked at lots of websites that say, oh, this means that. Oh, if you have a dream about your teeth falling out, oh, it means this. And I'm kind of thinking like, how do these people know this? Like,
Right.
what is there a dream Bible somewhere I don't know about, or So I don't really take anything 100% to heart when I read about what do dreams mean, but
Yeah.
they got to mean something.
I think they
do.
do.
I don't think that there's just some random.
Yeah, I think they do. I think that they are a method for us. Sometimes they can be a message, like whether it's our higher self or spiritual consciousness or whatever. But like your dream, the river of staples, and to me, I guess what was coming to me when I was hearing that is like, is it kind of a metaphor for life? Like you've really got to get out of the situation you're in because it's not doing you very good, and it's just like death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. It's just wearing you down, and it's necessary. Go ahead.
I thought about it for a while.
Uh-huh.
I thank you. I thought about it for a while, And what I associated it with was okay. So for my job, I take care of plants. I take care of indoor plants for a casino. And just for a shameless plug, if anybody out there likes houseplants, you can find my page on Instagram, That One Plant Guy, and I teach houseplant care.
Uh-oh. Hold on if you're still there. I think I lost the connection. I think I just found. Are you there? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Well, my connection dropped and
I'm here.
reconnected. So now I know where the loud waterfall sound is coming from. It's from calling the call bridge. But
Okay.
but anyway, just continue going. You're that one
Okay.
that one plant guy on Instagram. Did you say?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I teach horticulture and houseplant care on Instagram. You can find me at That One Plant Guy. There's an underscore between each word.
Okay.
So anyhow, I take care of plants at a casino, and oh dang it, at the whole cutoff thing, I lost track of where I was going with it.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, I got it. I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back.
All
I
right.
got it. I'm back. So I had the dream about the river of staples in the water,
Yes.
and at work, like my job is really simple. I go clock in at work. I go around the casino. I'm looking for plants.
Hold on, brother. I'm gonna have
And,
to have you hold on for a second.
Oh, is it break time?
It's break time, so hold on a sec. We'll be right back. I'll get back to you on the other side if you can hold on.
No problem.
All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. Hey, guys. Thanks for sticking around. We are in the last half hour. We're in the home stretch of the show, which has gone by incredibly fast, but I just love these phone calls, and let's get back to it. And we are joined on the phone by our good friend Bob Ross from nearby Spokane, and he's going over some dream stuff right now. You there, brother?
Yep, I'm still here.
And we got rid of the waterfall sound as well, so there you have it. More peace in the valley.
Awesome.
So where were you now? Sorry, the breaks interrupt us. But
Oh no, I know it's good. I did a good job at maintaining my thought process over the break. So,
excellent.
and so let's see. So I was thinking about the river with all the staples in the water, and what the lady in the podcast was saying about things in our dreams relating to our lives. And so I sat there and I thought about it, and so my job at the casino was taking care of plants. Well, my job itself is really simple. I take care of plants, but I have to deal with lots of little individual things, like lots of people like to break pieces off of my plants. And so, like, I'll come into work and I'll go checking on my plants, and somebody broke a piece of this one vine off.
Right.
A lot of people got to do that. Oh, it's so irritating. I got to try to make these plants look nice, and then here I come into work and they're looking all raggedy.
Right.
There's other things where people are asking me about, like, billing information and computer codes for billing information, and I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just a plant guy. It's and I've got to try to figure things out, and so I kind of thought about, well, maybe the river with the staples in the water was all the little things that irritate me throughout the day. Just little tiny things. That's just it, though. They're just little tiny things. They don't mean much, But there's lots of little tiny things that irritate me throughout my time, and so that's just one of those things where it's a possibility. Like, maybe that's what the dream was about. And I climb out of that river, and I'm out of that prickly staple water, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then yeah, sure enough, within a few days, those problems seem to kind of go away. I'm out of the river of staples,
cool.
so to speak.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool. And I think that's what dreams represent in a lot of cases, are just a symbolic reference to, what's going on in our lives. And it's like a big metaphor, a big representation of it, and maybe to give us a different perspective. But, I think the language of dreams is very ancient. There are some practices, esoteric practices, that deal with, dream interpretation and stuff. And I don't know if it coincides with the psychology's, interpretation of it, but I think that dreams are incredibly profound. And I had a discussion with my deceased father in a dream, and it was incredible. It was really, it was absolutely real in my perception and in my experience. It was as real as anything in my life. And it was an incredibly healing experience. And so I think that they can also be stupid and silly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're not all profound, but there's some people that believe that when we're dreaming, we're actually astral projecting and possibly to different realities, different experiences, different parts of this multiverse. And maybe that's true. I don't know. It's hard to know.
I don't know either, but I'm leaning towards that. With just with how real dreams feel.
Yes.
It's like no different than it's no different than being in real life, except for there's no way to prove that you were there. I can walk up to my friend tomorrow at work and shake their hand and say, "Hey, here we are." But there's no way for me to prove to my friend that I'm shaking hands with that I was on a spaceship, and I just crawled through a stream of staple water.
Yeah, you're
So,
right. And
I don't know.
another dream that I had with my deceased father, I was also sitting at a table with him standing to my left, just above me. Just I'm sitting down in the chair at the table. My mom is also sitting at the
Yeah.
table, and my brother is across the table. And one of my brothers is across the table, and we're talking. And I know there was a problem going on for my dad, and my brother looks at me and goes, "Why don't you take care of it?" And I'm like, I can't. And in that moment, in the dream, I realized that my brother wasn't making the distinction that my dad had passed. He was seeing him as there. Now, then it suddenly like this look of realization came over his face and said, "Oh yeah, your dad's dead."
Oh
And
yeah.
it was this moment.
Yeah.
Now, I'm telling you, it was so real. I was absolutely convinced that when I woke up, I would be able to call my mom and say, "Hey, could you believe that dream?" Because she was there. I mean, it was so incredibly real, as real as anything I've ever been in my life. And I called her and said, "Mom, did you
Yeah.
happen to have a weird dream last night?" And she's like, "No, nothing really." So whatever it was all for me, but it was still an incredibly
Yeah.
profound dream. And I know that it was real on some level. I just don't really understand the significance of it or what happened. Now, the first time I dreamt of him, I know it was
Right.
a closure moment for me, because I wasn't there when he passed, and I live across the country from them. And so it was a hard thing for me. And, all the things left unsaid, and the things that you would have said if you had the opportunity, well, he was there, and I got a chance to say those things and having a beautiful embrace with him. And it was so healing and incredible.
Right.
And if it was just in my head, if it was only in my head, it was still so important to me in order to just close off some of that pain and to heal from it. But I think it was bigger
Yeah.
than that. I think
Yeah.
he
Your
really,
emotions. Right.
yeah, I think he was there. I think that we had this meeting place somewhere in the ethers, and had this moment, and it was just incredible.
Yeah. I'll share one more dream real quick,
Sure.
and it's sort of sad. Almost. Well, it would have been like a few weeks over a year ago. I had to put one of my dogs down, Charlie.
Oh,
And if anybody's on anybody goes to my Instagram, you'll see pictures of Charlie. He's a tan and white pit bull. Well, putting him down, he ended up having lymphoma cancer, and he stopped eating. And I knew, okay, that's what a dog is saying. It's my time to go if they stop eating.
right.
I took him in. I had to put him down. Maybe 3 or 4 months after that, I had a dream where I was at. It was a gathering of people, like maybe Thanksgiving, and I want to say it was Thanksgiving because of the scenario.
Mhm.
It was just me and Charles in another person's dining room, and there wasn't anyone else in the dining room, just me and Charles.
Oh,
And I was standing at the end of a long table with a whole bunch of different types of like plates of food.
mhm.
Excuse me. And I'm standing there looking at Charles, and he's looking. You know how a dog is when they know there's food up on the table, and they're looking at you like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Hey, yeah.
hey, I'm down here. You want to
Yeah.
give me some of what's up there?" And I remember looking down at him, and he was the most he was as healthy looking as he was at his most healthiest days when he was alive.
Oh,
And when I had to put him down, he had lost a lot of weight from the cancer.
sure.
And
Yeah.
so in my dream, he was super healthy, just a fit dog. And he's looking up at me, and he knows there's food up on the table. Well, he puts his paws up on the table, and I'm looking around going, "Oh my gosh, no, I hope nobody sees you do this." And I tell him, I was, get down, Charlie. This isn't our house. You can't do that. This isn't our house.
Uh-huh.
And so he gets back down. He's just standing on all fours on the ground again. And I look on the table, and this isn't a typical Thanksgiving meal, but there was pancakes on a plate. And so I grabbed an empty plate, and I put a couple of pancakes onto the plate I have, and I walk over closer towards him around the other side of the table, and I get down next to him, and he starts licking these pancakes. And then I can remember hearing people's voices just outside of the dining room, and I was thinking, oh, no. I don't want them to walk in here and see me feeding them pancakes. And so I kind of stood up, and it was like, it's okay, Charles. It's good. I'll give you some pancakes later. And then poof, I woke up.
Aww.
But it was kind of like Charlie's way of saying, I'm good, man. Don't be sad about me. I'm good. Look at me. I'm all healthy and happy.
That's cool.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So dreams, I don't know what they're all about, but they definitely touch our feelings, and they have significant meaning in certain cases. Some, like you said, sometimes they're just off the wall and they don't seem to relate to anything. But
right, yeah.
But I think it's important that it's really important that people try their best to kind of remember their dreams. Like when I was younger, I wrote my dreams down. Now I don't have to do it anymore. I just remember them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think writing them down started my ability to be able to remember them without having to write them down.
That's cool, brother.
So,
and I thank you for taking the time tonight to join us. That was really great, and as it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yep, I'll let you guys go and finish off the rest of your time.
All right, brother. We'll stay in touch, and thanks for listening.
Yes, absolutely. Have a good night, Brent.
All right, good night. Very cool. I think dreams are powerful. I really do. And a hello to the Kev Baker of the Kev Baker Show and Freaky Friday. He just stopped in the chat room to say he's lurking. He's lurking. You're always welcome to lurk here, brother. That's great to see you. And a great show you guys had tonight. In case you didn't hear me earlier, I'm always grateful to follow you guys on the Freaky Friday and to carry the torch to the next hour. And then I hand it off to Paisley Wild, who's coming up after the Paranormal Portal with her show, The Spaces Between. So Friday nights are an amazing night on TFR. So if you don't know, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. But yeah, it's great to hear. It's great to hear people's stories and experiences, and dreams can seem just random. They can seem weird, but I think if you start looking at them in a symbolic way, you can get some really incredible insight into what maybe is going on in your life, and what you might need to change and what you might need to adapt. I usually don't remember my dreams, and that's why my dreams with my dad and the dreams I've had about my dog, who was my angel in many ways, are so profound because they're so incredibly intense that I remember them now. And I had dreams. It seems that I don't, I take it or leave it, but I've met many of my deceased relatives in my dreams following their passing. And that to me is incredible. I had an amazing teacher of mine. She was my second cousin, but she passed away, and she came and saw me in my dreams afterwards. And I had a man that was like a second father to me come and see me after his passing. And it's these incredible experiences. And maybe that's how I communicate with them. Maybe my daily life is just, I can't have that awareness. So I think that spirits do come to us when we're sleeping, because that's when we're most receptive. We're not battling our days. We're not battling our distractions or our responsibilities. And I think that most of us, in our modern lives, we're stimulated to the point of almost being numb with our tastes, our sounds, the things we see, and what we do. We're just stimulated to this point of just being, almost automatons at times. I find myself sitting here and just staring at a screen, and it's like I haven't blinked for even a full minute, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my eyes are feeling dry. What's going on? So I think that's where they come through the most commonly, is that they will come to us in dreams. And I think that a lot of people dismiss that, and they just say, well, it was just a dream. Damn, I wish that was real, because that was such a beautiful moment, but it was just a dream. But that doesn't make it any less real, ladies and gentlemen. That's not, I mean, if you think about the fabric of our universe, there's not a lot different between what would be our dream reality and what would be our waking reality. It's all energy. This is all energy. So whatever you're experiencing in your dream times can be just as real as what you experience in your waking time. And I think that you can also send that out, that you would like to see someone you love in your dreams, and maybe they can come through then. I don't know. I do believe that you can program those kind of things. Can send out that intention, and perhaps it'll come back to you, and you can have an amazing experience. And it's not going to work for everybody, and it's not going to work all the time, but maybe it will work sometimes. And I think that can be a real powerful time for us. Now, again, I stated it as well about dreams, since we ended up on that topic, which is great. That there are people that believe that our dreams are absolutely as profound as our waking state, and that we are projecting, we are astrally projecting in our dream time to go take care of things, whether on this plane of existence or some other plane or some multiverse variable or whatever. It's hard to know. And maybe that's why they seem so weird and odd, is because we're perceiving a different reality completely, but we're doing it through our filters. So we're doing it through our filters of this life. And so maybe those other realities don't translate real well. And that's why you got Frankenstein in the kitchen making toast or something, is that's the best your mind could do in interpreting what the hell was going on. And the reason I bring that up is I actually had that dream when I was a kid. That's what I always think of when I think of how stupid dreams can be. But, maybe it's just the way that we process, our spirit going out to a different kind of reality. I was going to say part or type, but I end up with kind. So that's my translation of that. But yeah, just some thoughts, and you can, take it or leave it and make it what you will. But, I think our dreams are really powerful, and they are certainly a profound part of our lives, because we spend quite a bit of our lives asleep. So something must be going on other than just a biological regeneration. I think that there must be something more intense going on in that experience. And if we are indeed spirits at our core, then we wouldn't need to be in this unconscious state doing nothing while our body just regenerates. It gains rest and energy or whatever to face the next day. Maybe our spirits do at that time shoot out and go do other things. It's hard to know. There's so much we don't know, but the point is that none of it can be discounted just on the fact that it may not make sense to you in your current paradigm. So just some thoughts on the topic, but I think it's really powerful stuff, and certainly shouldn't be just discarded. Should not. Oh, the spaces betweens in the chat as well. On our YouTube chat. Hello, Paisley. How you doing? I hope you have a great show tonight. What are you guys doing on your show tonight, Paisley? Let me know in the chat. I will shout it out to the listeners everywhere. Everywhere people are listening, anyway. I hope they're paying attention. But yeah. She said she's doing good. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. But talking about structure. Structure is important. Structure in terms of structuring your life, or in terms of energy, in terms of rituals. Structure is a big part of everything. Howdy to you, Lee. How you doing, brother? Lee McNew. It's good to see you again, man. I missed you. It's great to see that avatar you put up on Facebook. I thought you shaved. I was like, oh, he took the plunge. Nah, man. It's cool. It's good to see you, though, man. Thanks for coming in. And great to see all of you guys. Thank you all for being here. Everybody who's here. We're kind of winding down to the end of the show, but I got a little more stuff to go over here before we're through it all. I was going to read Children's Encounters with the Unknown, but that might just have to be tomorrow, because the day is waning. But it says, here's another one. An angel at Christmas Mass. Let's talk about this. It says, my non-Catholic friend went to Christmas Mass with me and my family, and he said he saw the angel of Michael, Uriel, as well as St. Lucy, St. Anthony of Padua, and Mary Magdalene. And I was uplifted and felt that I was given a gift of having this shared with me. That is beautiful. I mean, certainly some people are just tuned in to be able to see that kind of stuff. I wish I were. I've not seen anything like that, but that I can recall. But then again, maybe I have. Just didn't know what I was looking at. This one is angels help with emotional release. I know I needed healing. I wanted help with my emotions and felt I needed them to flow instead of wearing a protective mask or being like a statue. I asked an angel connected with Mount Shasta for help with these blocked emotions. Within 5 minutes, I had tears of gratitude for a dear friend who brought me to this healing meditation. I cried every morning with the long weekend and released many uncried tears from old pain. I allowed this healing release to begin a new journey for me, and it felt odd not to be embarrassed by my emotional state of releasing. I felt so good to let go. I was so grateful and realized that angels are always here for us if we ask for their help. What a gift. I had never felt such love, freedom, and such connection after this retreat. Well, that's awesome. I mean, God, if you're going to go on a retreat, that's a great way to leave it. There's a lot more on this site, though. I could do like a whole show or shows based on these stories. Oh, thank you, Naga, brother. I appreciate it. That's awesome. And thank you, Brian, from before. You guys are amazing. Thank you for helping out however you're able to. That means a lot. And certainly, I know not everybody can contribute monetarily, but if you can just contribute by spreading the word, posting things on, sharing shows on your social media, it'll really help a lot for us to keep the show growing. So please help us out, and please hit the likes. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Those are all, they all go a long way, but certainly the financial gifts are always amazing too. And thank you guys so much. They really do help out a ton. Prediction in my dream. Here we go. Here's a dream. I totally believe in my angel. On the night of November 12th, I was praying to my angel to connect with me in my dream as usual. I was awoken by a male voice, and the only thing I remember him saying was, "Earthquake between 4 and 5." I was confused by his words. It meant that 4 to 5 was the time or the Richter scale. To my surprise, on November 14th, my husband called me around 2 p.m. and asked me if I felt a shake that morning at around 5 a.m. and that it was a 5 on the Richter scale. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a whole lot of things coming together. Encounters with divine protection. Since I was a young kid, I've never had any doubt that my guardian angels protect me whenever I need protection, and that's how I've lived and prayed through many encounters of divine protection and safekeeping. Today, I'm a semi-retired veterinarian belonging to our local guardian angels group. I developed type 1 diabetes in 1967, and now I have a lot of faith that Jesus and all his love will always carry me until he needs me at the next level. Bless you with God's grace and all overpowering love. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful story. This one's called Who is My Angel? I have several angels, and I see them each in different ways. My father is rainbows. My grandma is butterflies. There are orbs in pictures, and I know they are there when I photograph them. I know that they are there when I photograph them. Okay. There are red and often in the shapes of angels. I've been told I have 5. One day I took my very sick dog, dog's name was Who, I guess, to the vet, and we were at a stoplight, and Who was on my lap getting hugs and love because the day had been tough on my dog. Our light turned green, and I began to accelerate, and Who coughed and lost breath. I immediately stopped and looked down at him in fear that I'd have to send him back to the vet, and in seconds, a truck sped through the red light and lightning speed, rocking my SUV that would have been the end of us. My mouth was open, and I gasped, "Huh?" And Who looked at me, although he's blind, and said, "Wow." And said, "Wow? What are you serious? Who, you saved my life with your little cough." He laid his face on my arm as if to thank me for saving his life, and he is now one of my angels, near my heart and at my feet right now. Wow. So the dog said, "Wow." And, oh no, it says, and I said, wow. Okay. I don't know. I said, who looked at me? And I missed the word I. Sorry about that. I thought we had a talking dog going on here. I thought, whoa, wait a minute. That's new. You just never know here on the portal. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next with the spaces between. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with Don here for the 2-hour show. Don't miss it. Good night.